rescue operations are underway. Well, Ukraine detains an alleged Russian spy over a plot to assassinate the country's president Volodymyr Zelensky in an airstrike. Ukraine's domestic intelligence agency on Monday detained the woman and accused her of gathering information about President Volodymyr Zelensky's itinerary ahead of a trip. Moreover, the woman was also accused of passing military facility information to Russia. But for more on the story, we've got Trent joining us this morning from the newsroom. Trent, good morning. Looking first at the spy that's been caught. Now that there is confirmation on it, what's the maximum punishment that this spy can get, and what for information is there about what all information was she passing on to the opposite side?
Well, good morning, Anil. That's right. A number of significant developments out of Ukraine that we are tracking this morning here at DD India. The first relating to this alleged spy. They are very significant developments and also very significant allegations that the Ukrainians are making. They say that this woman was collecting information in order to try and plan an assassination attempt on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, specifically what the Ukrainians are saying is that she was trying to get a hold of his travel itinerary in advance and then to pass that on to the Russians in order to allow for a major airstrike to take place while the president was in the area. They go on to say they actually caught this woman handing over documents to her Russian collaborators at the time. It included sketches of his movements, even photographs, but they were able to intercept her. They say she does remain in custody. They have not released any details yet about her or her name, but if she is indeed found guilty, she faces 12 years in prison. It's not the first time the Ukrainians say they have caught these alleged spies. It's a stark reminder, I think, that there is warfare going on, of course, not just on the battlefield in Ukraine, but also in the information and intelligence space as well.
Also taking forward the Jeddah talks, China's rules, China's presence there, especially, when China appears to be neutral when it comes to the talking table, but otherwise seems to be clearly taking positions. What's the sense that you gather of China being there at the peace talks in Jeddah?
Look, I think the first takeaway is the fact that Beijing has a representative in the room at all is a good thing,
okay.
But you can also understand why there may be a healthy degree of scepticism on the parts of the Ukrainians, given that we saw just months ago President Xi Jinping in Moscow speaking directly with President Putin and lamenting the relationship between Moscow and Beijing. But nevertheless, the likes of the United States and Germany have certainly welcomed China's contribution. It is significant, I think, when you look at those pictures there, just the big global players in the world of diplomacy in the room. India, the United States, China, all there. The Ukrainians certainly are taking this as a win. They are describing it as a huge blow to Russia that all of these countries are willing to speak about Ukraine's peace plan. There was one notable absentee, though. That, of course, is Russia. They did not show up to these talks. A spokesperson for the foreign ministry in Moscow described Ukraine's 10-point peace plan as being an impossible achievement, and it represented a senseless ultimatum. Clearly, the two sides still very, very far apart on all of this, and there's a lot more work to be done in the diplomatic world.
One quick word with regards to how overnight the Russia-Ukraine war has developed and what more action has Russia taken, especially with regards to, giving it back to the counter-offensive that Ukraine has launched.
Well, look, it's been another night of air raid sirens sounding across the country. This time a city, as you mentioned, called Pokrovsk. It is very close to the front line. 2 Russian cruise missiles struck that city. Now, the Ukrainians say 8 people were killed. 5 of them were civilians, 2 of them were first responders, rescuers essentially, and also a policeman. We understand that that cleanup operation is continuing. They are still searching for survivors, but it is a reminder that while the likes of Kyiv and Odessa, those big Ukrainian cities, now have got quite extensive air defense systems, some of those smaller cities are still very much fending for themselves, and those cruise missiles are making it through. And once again, it's those civilians which are bearing the brunt of this deadly war.
Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Trent, this morning on Breakfast News. Well, shifting focus, US President